Hey everybody, welcome to the Tactical Games AAR podcast. I'm here with Nick Palacios.
What up? I always try to
I didn't think I could be more
I always try to
disappointed.
disappoint you at every intro that we do for this podcast.
You're doing great.
Thanks.
One other thing we got to change back here.
Between two mortars.
Amanda came in here earlier and tried to decorate. We're gonna undo that. Well, let's talk about Reno.
Reno. It was cold. It's cold as hell. We got bamboozled again with bad weather. But it was the first one of the year that we got bad weather. I think we got really lucky for two events, and I think we all have more cold gear than we know what to do with. And of course, none of us brought any of it. So
No,
once the snow forecast came in, we all got to go to Scheels and drop a bunch of money on cold weather gear that we absolutely didn't need. So
did not
that
need.
was fun.
In my head, I was walking around Scheels and just picking up stuff that was on sale, whatever I could find, because
Yeah.
I've got cold weather gear back at the house.
Yeah.
And I knew it's going to be 100 here for the next 6 months.
Yeah.
So at least I've got a new jacket that I can wear and a new beanie that I can wear next time
We have matching beanies actually.
again, with the disappointment.
I showed up to dinner. I think it was dinner that night.
Yeah.
And I had my beanie on. And you're like, "Did you just buy that beanie?" I was like, "Yeah, why?" You just like slowly pull the beanie out, and you're like, God, another set of matching clothes." So got
Well,
matching beanies all week, and that was cool.
since you won't shut up, let's just keep with you talking. How about you go over a little bit of some of the things that you think we could have done better for Reno?
For Reno, stage one, we forgot to repaint the targets for the second, or at least repaint the numbers on the long range stage. So that was an oversight on our part. We could have changed out some of the hit indicators as well. So I know on the second day, or at least on the after action podcast, we were having a couple people say that when they shot that stage on Sunday, some of the hit indicators weren't working. So, a little oversight on our part for that stage in particular. I know a couple of people, indicated that there wasn't a clear idea of like certain starting positions for stages. Even I looked back on them earlier today. I saw them all written in there. So I think that maybe it was just a miscommunication just in relaying the information that was written from what the ROs were saying on that part. So, again, another little thing that we can just remind ROs and just making sure that they're verbatim reading the brief and all that. But overall for the weekend, like the ROs did a really good job. All the stages ran on time or very close to running on time. So even with dealing with the snow and the rain and all that fun stuff, the event I think went over very well and went smooth. And I think we were done at like 5:30 on both days. We were kind of just like standing around not knowing what to do after we got back to the Airbnb.
We were done as soon as the sun came out.
Yeah, yeah. Both days. As soon as it started to warm up, yeah, we were finishing up. So
When I was walking into Scheels, I knew it was going to be like the weather forecast. It was going to be about 10 degrees colder the next day.
yeah,
And literally the sun was shining. I was like in a t-shirt and sweating in my t-shirt. And,
yeah,
yeah. I'm really looking forward to waking up the next morning to freezing ass cold.
yeah. That was fun. That was
Yeah.
fun.
So what are some of the things that you think went well over the weekend?
Again, the schedule was great. I think the flow of all the stages were really well balanced. I like going to the 8-stage format now. I like that we're able to mix in, whether it's a TTG stage, a shooting only stage, and peppering in the shorter type of stages to kind of balance out the workload for everybody for a weekend instead of just like hammering them out with like multiple heavy stages or something like that. So I like the flow of how the program went this week, and I thought they were all really fun from a competitor standpoint. Like I enjoyed all the stages. Only thing I didn't enjoy was just mistakes that I made on my part, but like that's just a part of competing. So the program and staying on schedule, I think, were the two things that shined for me all weekend.
I want to talk about some of the things that you didn't do well. We'll talk about that at the end. But now let's get into performance for everybody over the weekend.
Yeah. So starting off, we've got the men's 60 plus class. We had Russ Monson taking third with, and again, the scores and placement is all respective to the division that they competed in, which is the 50 plus category. So, Russ had, was bouncing around between anywhere from 5th to 15th on stage finishes there. It looked like he had a really good stage on Easy Riders, which is our C2 biker stage. Coupled with the 400-yard target shot that we had kind of shooting over up into the hillside there. He had 35 hits there, 83 work points for 188 total points on that stage. I thought that stage, overall was one of the most fun stages that we've done in a long time. I really enjoyed the mix of the long range there.
What was the loadout was 6x8, right?
It was. Yep.
So what does that come out to? 24, 48?
Yeah, 48.
So Rust missed nine shots?
No, 13.
He's got 35 hits.
I thought you said 40. Didn't you say 48 just now?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got 35.
Good number.
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah. 45.
Plus 3.
18.
48.
13. Whatever.
So Russ missed some shots on Easy Riders, but he placed 5th out of the entire 50-plus division.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see as we let's kind of pay attention to that one as we get into some of these other competitors, but congrats, Russ. Great job there. Next up, 2nd place in the 60-plus division, Dr. Bob Porzio. So Russ, Bob, had 15 hits and 123 calories on that bike.
I can see where you put the emphasis on that stage.
So with 15 hits, so we did value, one of the things that we looked at when we vetted the stage is we took Chance's score, my score, and Gil's score, and then we figured out an average of what we thought people were going to get calorically on every single round, and then we applied a point value based on the hits to try to match that. So hits in this were worth 3 points.
Yeah, correct.
So you had the possibility of 24 points per bike evolution or shooting evolution to be able to earn. So that was pretty cool to see. Bob ended up 3 places lower here than Russ did, who got significantly less calories on the bike. I think 50 calories less on the bike, but 20 more hits.
Yeah.
So he did way better on that stage, which is pretty cool to see. But great job, Bob. Looks like you did pretty well. He crushed it on the floater, again competing against guys that are 10 years younger than him in some cases. Ian Crookston. Ian came out there all smiles the entire weekend. He was the happiest guy to be out there.
Yeah.
That was awesome. I was very excited to meet him. He seemed like a great dude, and I had a lot of fun chatting with him in between events.
And he took 9th on that stage, so he was right behind Dr. Bob on that. But, again, 20 hits, 97 work points, so leveled out pretty good with the hits on that.
I was pretty happy with the balance on that. That format is something that we've carried on for just about every event this year, and we'll continue to see throughout the year, where we have that mix of shooting balanced with an erg set with some kind of long range shooting. That's a fun one for sure. All right, moving into 50 plus. Rich Hill. Rich had an epic weekend. If you're looking at how he did compared to 571.78 points total, it's a great performance. Even when he was in 2nd place, like in the Lukmano, what was that one? Lukmano ropes.
Yeah.
2nd place was 98%. Floater, he was at 93%. Everything, he was just up there and doing pretty well. He did really well on the run.
Yeah. Super consistent throughout the weekend with, respect to where he was placing. It looks like Easy Riders was a tough one for him. Not sure what had happened there, but aside from that, like I said, between 2nd and 5th place finishes all throughout the weekend.
So what happened to there is he shot poorly. If you look when it comes to work, he's got 114 points on the work, and then only 14 hits. So that's averaging, if you divide 6, that's like 2 point something hits per round.
Yeah.
Not great. So it's great that he was out there capable of outputting on the bike. But then when it came time to perform on the line, he just wasn't getting the hits that he needed to get there. But congrats on the 3rd place finish, Rich.
John Murray.
2nd place, John Murray.
Super surprising. But John did really well all weekend, but when he didn't do well, he lost a lot of points. On the floater, you can see he lost a lot of points there. He took a 75% on the rebar stage, which was just enough for the dude that was in 1st place to edge him out there by a couple of points. It wasn't a huge gap, but he still was able to take the 1st place.
And on the aggregate too, it looks like shooter's aggregate, which John, the Tac 2 gun stage, he crushed. I think he might have had, if not, he was close to one of the top competitor times for the weekend.
Yeah, he was. Yeah,
for the Tac 2 gun stage, so did really well there. The run, he crushed some people on the run. But yeah, you're absolutely right. It looks like on the floater, which is only a 50-point stage, and on rebar. And then on the aggregate as well, he had some opportunities there. And 1st place in the 50-plus division, David June.
David June. He's a super nice guy. I
He's
got to
very
talk to
nice.
him a couple of times throughout
Yeah.
the weekend. Had nothing but positive things to say about the event. It was his first event that he's done, so for him to take first place in men's 50 plus and to do it over John Murray is, speaks volumes. So he really came out prepared and did really well. Again, super consistent all weekend. When he didn't take first, he didn't lose by much. I think the most was the 2-gun stage. He lost 20 points there, but aside from that, like extremely consistent. Even when taking third, he only lost 5 match points.
So I was looking at his easy rider score. So work wise, 127 hits, 32. John, 29 and 138. Wow, really close there.
That came down to the work on that stage.
Yeah, that's awesome. But again, very, very close, very equitable. I'm super happy with that. He crushed the shooter's aggregate. Ox cart, he looks like he did very well there. Looking at penalties, so he had 12 misses, it looks like, on ox cart.
Yeah, 20 on rebar.
He got 80%ed on tac 2-gun, though.
Yeah, that was because John put him. He laid the hammer on that stage. Yeah, he did.
He beat him by 14 seconds, it looks like, which on a 2-gun stage that lasts, in this case, a minute. It's it's a good percentage there, about 20. That run, he held pretty close in the run. I mean, everything. Like, great job, David. Welcome to the competition. He was definitely inquiring about nationals too, and pretty excited to come out for that one. All right, Tracy. Shannon Tracy. Did you meet Shannon? I didn't get the opportunity to talk with her.
I didn't know.
Third place, women's 40 plus. It looks like she held consistent thirds in the women's 40 plus category. First in the floater with 26 reps. That's super impressive there. That's like finding a really good pace and sticking with it the whole time. She got 14 hits on the long range. I mean, tac 2-gun is the only thing that she, I would say, kind of underperformed on percentage-wise. She ended up down in the 40th percentile. I'd be very curious to see the woman that got first place, because that's...
I know who it is. It was Nikki Stewart. Nikki was extremely dominant all weekend. Yeah, you'll see. I mean, when you pull up her scores, you'll see what I'm talking about.
So Tina Tate, 544.51. I didn't get any opportunity to talk to Tina that weekend either, but it looks like she held consistently second place in all the stages. Shot fairly well.
Yeah.
Looks like 55 misses on ox cart. But other than that, shot pretty well and did pretty well. Hit 19 hits on easy riders, which is that 400-yard target that we were talking about.
Yep.
So good job there, Tina. Nicole Stewart,
698 match points.
Jeez.
That's why when you see those percentages for second and third are significant, because she dominated on everything that she won.
An 88-61 on the tac 2-gun stage. Crushed the run. 30 hits on easy riders. Yeah. Wow. Great job, Mickey.
She did awesome.
She really did.
Dominated this weekend.
And the floater, it looks like she maybe lost by 2 reps.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Shannon got like 26, so she beat her by
a rep or 2. Yeah. Wow. Other than that, she was almost... I don't think we've ever seen a 700. Maybe Hepner's gotten a 700, like a perfect score.
Yeah, maybe. I remember John was really close last year in Arizona. He had like 690 something match points or whatever it was. But yeah, that's an extremely dominant performance.
698 is really, really damn good. Congratulations, Nikki. Brett Lawrenson
came out and knocked out third place in men's 40 plus. That's awesome. I don't know if this is his first time on the podium or not, but he came out and competed really well. Had a hard time on the floater and on the run. That's not his strong suit, but I mean, everything else he did relatively well on. Ox cart took first place, had 20 misses. Took second on 2-gun as well, too. 61 seconds, no misses there. 254 on the run. The run times were, I mean, the gaps weren't huge on that, but I mean, 25th place on that. So I'd be curious to know.
72% at 25th place.
Yeah.
So that means for 40 plus, I think we had, like, he was towards the bottom of the pack there for that. James Kling. James lost by like 0.02%.
It was marginal, and it came down. What was their last stage that they did? Was the 2-gun stage, maybe?
I honestly don't remember where they started or where they finished, but yeah, it could have been.
I know it was coming down to his last stage. It was really, really tight between him and Dan Phillips, who ended up taking first. But James is always a top performer, super consistent whenever he comes out. Looks like the run was pretty tough. He got 15th on the run, and then also took 8th on the floater as well too with 25 reps.
When we were talking about it, it would have been like finishing any stage 5 seconds faster. Any one of the stages that he had done.
One less miss.
One less miss or 5 seconds faster.
That's how tight it can get.
But he had 34 hits on easy riders and 126 work points.
It's great. Yeah,
it's good
score.
Start there. All right, getting into men's 40 plus first place.
Dan Phillips.
Look at that smile.
Stoked.
Boy, cheesing.
But I mean, like, again, like, didn't take first on anything over the weekend, but was very consistent.
Yep.
And when everybody else faltered, like, he didn't. So he was able to hold on to first place for the weekend.
He held up. Everything is consistent.
Yeah.
31 hits, 122 work points on easy riders.
Ox cart was his worst stage. He got almost 73% on that.
15 misses, yeah.
Which, not bad. I mean, for that loadout, I think it was, 45 for rifle and 36 for pistol.
Yep.
So, I mean, shoot, that's a good shooting percentage. So
did well on rebar, too. Good job. Good job, Dan. All right, getting into women's tactical. Marcella Hance.
Can we talk about Justin's video that he posted?
Oh, that wasn't Justin.
That wasn't Justin?
No.
Who was it that posted?
No, we'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll get to it. It's hilarious.
Yeah, that was a very funny video. But so Marcella, I think this was her first time competing in tactical, if I'm not mistaken. And she had podiumed quite a few times in intermediate and women's intermediate. And Justin was pushing her. Justin's her husband, was pushing her to go up and compete in tactical. And she came out swinging and did really well.
Yeah, again, super consistent all weekend.
A lot of third place finishes. She had a couple sixths in there, but even on the sixth place finishes, she was still in a decent percentage towards that first place.
Yeah, looks like rebar was a little tough. Had 58 misses there. Pistol shooting was a little tough on that stage.
That was a single-handed pistol shooting.
Yeah,
on the big squares.
Yeah, about 20. I think we were 20 yards away from there, something like that.
Lexi Dickinson, second place, women's tactical. So Lexi is like 6 months postpartum. Yeah, so just had a baby. Mm-hmm. She's been typically a women's elite competitor, but just coming back and just getting back on her fitness journey. So it was good to see her back out there. Mm-hmm. She had a smile all weekend. They had a group of like 18 people, I think, from her gym. There was
a ton of people with them. Yeah, it was cool to see the whole group there.
Very awesome.
And she dominated all weekend too. But again, where she fell pretty hard. Floater. I mean, even though it was only 50 points, she lost 14 points there. Lost 20 and change on Lookmon no ropes.
And about 10 on the run.
Yeah.
So we're at 656.17. Let's see what the difference is between second place and first. Yeah, I mean, she was 12 points. So Bailey, her husband is the one that posted the video.
Bailey's husband. Yeah. That was so funny. For those of you that haven't seen it, it's hilarious.
Yeah, opportunity. That was definitely a funny one. Yeah. A lot of second place finishes, but her second place finishes were I mean, all pretty tight. Yeah, where she was just hanging on really close to Lexi the whole time.
Yeah.
Congrats, Bailey.
Worst one was Ox Cart at 87%. Yeah, she did great.
Just crushed it. All right. Second place men's tactical?
Eric Mossy, yes.
Did we not have a third place men's tactical?
I did not have a photo for third place, so I don't know who it was. It was under a company name.
A pseudonym.
Yeah, it's a pseudonym, so
all right.
I assume it's somebody we can't.
Congratulations on your third place finish, pseudonym.
But second place men's
John Doe.
John Doe, yeah. Eric Mossy, kind of off and on, like bouncing around between first and ninth throughout the weekend, but still, able to hold on for a second place finish. Looks like he crushed it on rebar. Did well on the run as well too. 2 minutes 3 seconds. That was cooking on the run.
Yeah,
that was definitely a tough run. So good on him.
Good on you, boy. All right, let's get into Andrew Wald, first place men's tactical.
11th on easy riders though. That was a rough stage for him. But still only got 86% on that, so that must have been tight.
It was very tight. Yeah.
But
aggregate, he beat everybody on the aggregate. That's awesome. Oxcart won, Tac 2 Gun won with a 70.6
got really
score.
Good on the shooting stages. He was doing really good on those.
The run was pretty tight, pretty close.
Yep. Yeah, sixth place at 94%, so only six percentage points between first and sixth place. Rebar did good.
24 misses on rebar, but still with a 91% finish. And then floater finishing at 95%.
Yeah, really tight race between all those guys.
Good job, Andrew. What are we getting into now? Elite?
Yeah, Women's Elite MK Tangler.
Look at that cheesing.
So happy. I love it.
So happy.
That's awesome. And just not, I mean, she did great all weekend. That's about as consistent as it gets.
MK, she was very nervous to move up to Women's Elite, but like right before the match, let us know, and it was awesome to see her jump up, and like she made a comment about like, you know, peeing her pants, how nervous she was, but you know, she came out and she did really, really well. So we hope we continue to see her push herself and compete in this division, because she did great, and definitely had some
39 hits on Easy Riders.
Nice.
That's a really good score.
Yeah, hell yeah.
That's one of the higher hits I've seen on
out of anybody
all weekend. Yeah.
Congrats,
Good
MK.
job, MK.
And I think her mom was staying in Tahoe, or family lives in Tahoe. Her mom lives in Tahoe, so she was commuting back and forth and picking up horse shit when she wasn't competing. I saw the video. Yeah, MK is awesome. And Jordan coming out, second place finish with 600.7 or 47 points, bunch of seconds out of the weekend, pretty consistently there.
Yep.
Finished 34. We watched all the Women's Elite go on the floater. Finished with 34 reps there, edging out E by I think a couple, maybe 4 reps. 40 hits and 104 points.
Insane.
Well, to be fair, she was shooting like a 4 to 20 optic.
Okay. She could see the target.
She could definitely see the target. There's no question about that. Good job, Jordan. And then first place with the giant Zev E Church.
Nice.
E went out, crushed it. The only thing she lost all weekend was the floater. I think at that point she knew she had it in the bag, so she just kind of let off the gas. 69.93 on the TAC2 gun stage. I'm pretty sure she beat almost all of the men's field.
I want to say she was top 5 finish overall for the weekend on that stage.
That's awesome. Great job, E. All right, getting into men's elite. So this came down to the final event.
Yeah, it was, because he was in 4th place.
He was
before that stage. Him and Memo were back and forth all weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was glad to see him get on the podium, man. I know he's been competing for a while, did great on the floater, got 30 reps. That was dizzying, to say the least. But that's really cool, man.
I always like when we see the super tall guys go out there and get some work done, and Justin's one of those super tall guys. So yeah, that was awesome. Congrats, Justin. Great performance all weekend. Like really in that 3rd or 4th place finish. Did really, really well. So congrats, Justin. Let's get into... Who's this guy?
Me. Look at that.
Oh, this guy. So
check the scores.
I noticed you got 32 hits and 151 work points.
I did. You see where I put the effort in on that?
No, I can see.
So talking about where I royally messed up was the last round. So I was hitting like between 4 and 6 shots every round, and the last round I completely. I don't know if the winds rolled or what, but my hold that I was staying on for all previous rounds was completely wrong, and I guess I couldn't see any feedback, but when I talked to the spotter afterwards, I was curious where I was missing high left, so I completely missed all my shots in the last round, so that sucked. Yep.
Don't call an ambulance.
And that's a typo on there. I did not get first on that stage. I got 3rd on that stage.
On the Easy Rider stage?
Yeah, on Easy Rider I did not get
so first. You just lied?
I got 3rd. I did, yeah. I lied, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
TAC2 gun stage 57.21.
Yep. Yeah, that was I was like 35 points behind Nick going into that stage.
Yep.
And then I was able to make up a considerable amount of points there. So that was awesome. I've been putting a lot of work on action shooting since last year. So it was cool to see that pay off.
You trucked it on the run.
I tried. I sure tried. I was cooking for sure. And then just as soon as I was getting up to the flag, Nick just goes, pew! And then just...
like a fucking comic book character, a cartoon character.
Out of nowhere, just came up and passed me, flipped the flag, and then I was just trying to catch him the whole time, keep my feet underneath me.
Can we talk about your 33 misses on rebar?
Yeah, those were all pistol misses. Majority
all of them were pistol misses?
So like, when I was talking to the guys afterwards, I was just curious like what everybody else shot, because I knew I shot terrible, and everybody else was like, none of us shot better than 50%. The pistol shooting on that was rough for me, and I guess everybody else said it was hard too. So I had a good amount of misses on rebar.
Yeah, I'd say 33. What was the loadout on that?
It was 4x10 for everything, so it was 40 hits. Yeah, and I hit 16 pistol shots out of 40.
Tight.
It was not good.
Tight.
Yeah, not good at all.
Good on the floater though. Great job on the floater.
Definitely my worst stage. Yeah, floater was tough. That was a lot harder than I was expecting it to be. But fun weekend overall for sure.
And first place, men's elite,
Nick Deininger.
Nick got the giant Zeb as well.
Mm-hmm.
Take it to the giant Zeb bank.
To the giant Zeb bank. That went over his head.
Yeah, he had no idea what we were talking about.
We made that joke at the
Nick, very good at tactical games. Terrible at humor.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Watch a couple movies and come back to us, Nick. But no, he was awesome to compete against all weekend and just absolutely dominate. He's just kind of not coasting in another gear, but I mean he competes in another gear physically, and he shoots really well, very consistent. So it was fun competing with him all weekend, and he did a phenomenal job.
With 158 hits, or I'm sorry, 158 work points, 35 hits on the Easy Rider stage. Oxcart, he missed 9. Or I'm sorry, you had 19 misses, I think. He had 12 misses, so 6 less than you there. Rebar, he had 27 misses instead of 33 misses. I mean, that makes up for the point differential that you guys had.
For sure.
He just outshot you. It wasn't physically that he outworked you; he outshot you. It looks like.
Yeah, it was for sure. But I was behind him on a lot of the physical stuff. But like you said, just shooting wise, he's just shooting lasers all weekend. He was doing really well, especially on the Easy Rider stage. He got the top score there. Did really really well.
So, what do you think about the stages in large? What were the ones like? What was your favorite stage of the weekend?
Well, I mean, performance-wise, I like the 2-gun stage that did the best on it, but like takeaways from the weekend, rebar was one where I definitely realized I need to work on single-hand shooting more. That was looking at the target as we were going up for the stage, I thought I would have done better on that, but single-hand shooting with that after, just carrying the heavy bar overhead, front rack carrying, all that, it was tough trying to find my hold on it. I was just not getting there. So it was a fun stage, but just overall performance wise, just didn't do well shooting.
And anything else on rebar that happened?
Yeah, I almost missed my launch time, so there was that as well too. So I had to. Thanks, bro. You bastard. What is it? Yeah. So
what are people looking at here? Let's explain to them what.
So my family was visiting all weekend because they all live in Northern California, and I was saying goodbye to them. And as they were leaving, and I was going back to the truck, I get a call from someone, and they said, "Hey, where are you at? Your squad's putting their rifles on their rifle box. They're about to launch." I was like, "Oh shit!" So I scrambled, grabbed all my stuff, or what I thought I had all my stuff, go to the stage, jamming mags. Everybody's helping jam mags, and then I get up to the line, put my holster on, realize my pistol's not in the holster. 3, 2, 1, go. I'm like, fuck it. I'll just go and shoot rifle and run back to go get pistols. So I did the first launch, downrange, shot rifle, ran to get my pistol, came back, shot pistol, and just had a shit stage overall. So I was kicking myself in the ass because I thought that was going to there you go, bro. That's
what's going on right here?
Everybody's helping me jam mags as I'm running back like a kid missing his school bus, trying to get up to the line.
Now, what happened after even all that? What else did you forget? When you were standing at the line, finished shooting?
Oh, no, we just went over this. Yeah, I forgot my
Pistol.
Yeah. No, I knew I forgot my pistol before the stage started, but I started it anyway. But hey, I wore my plate carrier all weekend, so we're making progress.
This is something that I want people to know and understand. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter if you work for the company. It doesn't matter. If you are not there in your start time,
we gonna launch
the show goes on without you. And I apologize. It sucks that happened to you, but
that's my fault.
Yeah, no, for sure, 100%. It was your fault. No one's taking anything off of that. It was for sure your fault.
Yeah. So if you worked for the company, we were still gonna launch without you. So
as a matter of fact, we will definitely launch.
I should launch early. But
Wes was like, "Bro, what should I do?" I was like, "Start the fucking match."
You go. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it started on time. That's for sure. So, I saw my placement after I got 6 on that stage. And I was like, oh, I got kicked out a second for sure. But luckily, I had enough of a lead to where that didn't push me down out of a second. So
yeah,
I was happy with that. But I was just trying to horse through all the work stuff and just make my head. So I shot rifle decent, but pistol I just completely shit the bed on. So
why don't you walk us through what gear you shot?
Shot the new Sons of Liberty rifle, the L89 upper and the scalper lower. Have Night Force A-Tacker 1-8 on there. Bunch of random mag pull hardware on there. And then shot my staccato, I got some new match grade ammo for that this last weekend, which was great. Shot really well. I was shooting Blackhawk 62 grain for rifle all weekend.
Black Sheep
ammo, which shot super consistent all weekend. Like, was happy with the long range stage on that again. The only thing that was wrong with that was just my fault, not paying attention to what was going on the hillside with the wind shifting. T-Rex Arms plate carrier, the Jackrabbit soft plates as well too. That was the first time running an AC1. Was really happy with that. Super comfortable all weekend. But yeah, man, overall gear all performed very, very well. Had no issues, no malfunctions with the rifle or anything like that, which is great. I think that newer rifle platform I like more than the predecessor that we had before that. So, like I said, overall gear ran really well for the weekend.
Yeah, that the new next gen version of the rifle that you had is definitely heavier. I would say probably 20 to 30% heavier than the original one. You've got a heavier optic on there. The ATAC-R is definitely probably about 20% heavier than what you were running before.
Yeah.
So your rifle setup's definitely heavier, so less felt recoil. And
Yep. And spent a lot of time making sure, like, getting good data on it, getting some good practice in it for a couple weeks before the match. So shot a 2-gun match before. Actually, you and I shot that with Gil, which was really fun. So, again, just putting in some work behind the optic and behind the rifle just before then, just making sure I feel comfortable with everything. There's a lot of stuff that can go wrong. So, like, all week leading up and just during the event weekend, just making sure I'm mitigating all the things that I can. So, less
what was the thing that you focused on maintenance wise the most over the weekend for your pistol? Or no, for your entire setup.
Cleaning my mags. That was for sure. Making sure my mags were clean. Gil helped me pull my entire pistol apart a couple days before the match.
When did we do? Was that Thursday night?
Yeah, it was Thursday night. Yeah. Because I do regular maintenance, but I have never taken apart a 2011, and it's extremely it's hard to do. So I had not done.
Who walked in? Who walked in that night? Was that you, Ro, that walked in, or Chance? Somebody walked in. And your gun was completely disassembled. Your 2011 was completely disassembled.
Every
down
single
the frame.
part was field stripped. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I completely cleaned that out, or Gil completely helped clean that out.
Gil completely cleaned that out.
He did everything. Yeah, he did it all. But yeah, a lot of it was just making sure everything was just cleaned and oiled up prior to the event. Cleaning the magazines, just because, like, we're in rainy environment, it's gravel, it's sand. So, like, anytime you drop a mag, even just placing them on the start finish boards, like, you're gonna get gravel and everything in there. So, like, trying to be conscious of, like, putting down a towel on the start finish boards if we're not retaining mags, just try to keep those clean and mitigate any type of, like, issues there.
Did you give my mag brush back?
Oh yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
It's in your box.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in there. It's in the mail. It's lost in the mail. No,
Just this new fad sport that we're in.
Oh.
And also, are we going back to Reno or are we not going back to Reno?
Are you talking about the sport that blends American Gladiators and Call of Duty?
So we did have some. We had a reporter out there from the New York Times who wrote an article about the sport and got us in front of a lot of new people and a new audience. So I was happy about that. He had some nice things to say about competitors and about the sport and the things that we were doing, and then some things that I was a little taken aback by, specifically by Limp Bizkit playing on all of the speakers.
It was just Chance's stage. It was Chance's stage.
Is that on Chance's playlist?
All Chance has is Creed and Limp Bizkit.
Which, I mean,
great bands, but it wasn't all the stages, but whatever. But I think it was awesome having New York Times out there and doing a piece about the sport and getting in front of new people. And I think just like some of the writing in there was just coming from a place of just not being in that realm. So that's kind of like the stereotypical stuff to kind of fall back on.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
So not knowing the ins and outs and like nuances, verbiage or whatever. So, overall, it was a decent article. I thought it was good. So
I think, so I went through and vetted the stages, Gil and Chance. We almost killed poor Chance during stage vetting.
Chance almost died on rebar. That was a rough stage. Chance doesn't have wrist mobility, so he keeps tension on his shoulders the entire time.
Just rested on his windpipe.
That was a tough one for him.
That was the only stage I didn't vet. I vet all the other ones except for that one, and I don't remember. Something came up that I couldn't, because I wanted to test I wanted to see how my scores are going to be compared to yours. It's the only thing I cared about. So
not bad. It's good, but whatever.
That range was awesome.
The range is great.
Stoked.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that range.
Yeah, we'll definitely be back in Reno.
Yeah.
I joked around in the award ceremony that we were never going back to Nevada, but we'll definitely be back in Reno next year. That was great for sure.
Maybe later in the year though.
So then we get the fucking summer heat. Yeah, we'll just
End
take
of
the
spring.
rain.
End of spring. 100%.
I'll take the rain over July in the middle of the desert.
Yeah, that'd be rough. That'd be rough for like June in North Carolina. Terrible. But overall, super fun weekend. It was good to be back in Nevada. Even though it was eventful, it was significantly less eventful than 2023. So
yeah,
chalk that up as a
one day we'll do a podcast just about Nevada 2023.
Yeah, it'll be a long one. that one broke everybody.
So next event we have coming up, we're going to be leaving
Monday.
2 days.
Yeah, 2 days.
3 days.
Yeah.
I guess it's Friday.
Who knows? We're leaving really soon.
So Monday morning we'll depart for our event with at Sawmill, the Small Arms Showdown.
Small Arms. Yeah, dude, it's gonna be
presented by T-Rex Arms. Stoked to be out there.
It'll be our biggest event to date.
Yeah,
about 300 competitors for the weekend.
Yep.
Pulling all the stops for stages. Very excited.
Yeah.
Not going to say what we're doing, but we've got a bunch of cool stuff planned. So
I'm very excited about that. Yep. George really wants to come in here. Are we going to let him come in?
Keep him out. Keep him out. No corgi's allowed.
He keeps on pawing at the door.
But yeah, Sawmill is going to be fun. It's going to be a rainy week for setup. Hopefully it dries up a little bit by the weekend, but
hopefully it just warms up a little bit by the weekend.
As long as there's no hurricane, dude.
Yeah.
No hurricanes and no gnats, and I'll be happy.
Anything else you want to throw in here before we take off for the day?
No, I'm just looking forward to South Carolina.
Awesome. Me too. Well, we appreciate you guys very much for tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.
See you guys.